everybody, what's up? Frank Fradella here again with Works in Progress with Frank Fradella. I'm your host, Frank Fradella. 3 times I've said my name now. Beat that in under 5 seconds. So you're here for the lightning round with Chris Malidore and Delphine. So
perfect.
L'évêque Demers.
L'évêque Demers. Oh,
Call me bitch. Just call me French bitch.
I know. Whew. Yeah, look how flushed I am every time you speak French. Crazy. Oh my God. Oh,
I have a good life over here.
you do. You do. All right, so we're going to talk about that life. This is going to be super fast. Here we go. Going right into it. These were user-submitted questions, so don't blame me. Hang on. Question number 1 from somebody you know well, Rydia Levesque Martinet.
My daughter.
Your daughter.
One
What's
of them.
y'all's? Okay, so now I'm giving props to your daughter here for spelling y'all's
She's trying
correctly.
to be southern.
Yeah, because like there's y'all's and then there's all y'all's and then there's like the possessive plural. She got it all right. So what's y'all's favorite movie to watch as a couple?
Best movie to watch as a couple? It will be Swiss Army Man with the Harry Potter dude, Daniel something.
Daniel Radcliffe and Elijah Wood.
No, it's not Elijah Wood. It's Paul Dano.
Oh, right. You're right.
It's a weird fucking
I'm mixing
movie.
movies. You're right. It's Paul Dano. And Swiss Army Man. Fantastic movie.
It's so
Really?
fucked up.
I've never even heard of it. I'm gonna
Oh,
have to
you
look
have
that
to
up.
watch this.
It's very odd.
It's
Okay.
Yeah, watch it.
All right. So what was the next question? Claude Demers.
That's my dad.
Your dad, in French, he said, "Qui est l'artiste qui vous inspire le plus à tous les deux, tout art confondu?"
Which artist inspired us the most? All art included, music and all that.
Right.
Was my pronunciation anywhere near right?
Oh yeah.
I'm sure there were moments.
I had moments. All right. I'm
Better
gonna
than
keep
him
trying.
there.
I can say cheese.
Fromage.
Fromage. Okay.
The artist that inspired us the most. Shit, that's a hard one. There's so many that we like.
For me, long time ago, what got me really started in the whole thing was Todd Lockwood. And that was the guy who helped me really not see it as art anymore, but really get sucked into the whole world that, they were building over there at TSR. And from there, it's expanded out. Not like the list now is like this long, but that was the guy who, for me, really just made me think, damn, I wish I could do that.
I'd say my favorite one would be Joe Linsner, Michael Joseph Linsner. I don't know.
Joe Michael Linsner. Yeah.
Linsner's awesome.
Yes,
He's awesome.
that's pretty much how I've learned to draw, was just to look at his chicks, and I would, practice.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So I find it interesting. These are both modern living artists.
Yeah, they're alive, as far as unless the virus doesn't them.
Our inspiration still starts before that, and beyond that, and into music and all that. But these were the artists who made such an impact that we started to be like, wonder if I could do that.
Yeah.
So. Cool. All right, next question. Who does cook the most, says Aaron Lahura Beaver Tandem.
Moi.
Yeah.
I cook all the fucking time. I mean.
Also, he says, what would you say was your biggest mistake as a growing artist?
Mistake. Shit. To let myself, burn out so fucking much by accepting too many projects at once, I guess. And then you get so successful that you start, being afraid of all that work that comes with it, all the success, and then you start self-sabotaging and shit like that. I mean, I could talk about it a lot. I don't know about you.
Not understanding my limitations early enough. There were plenty of situations where I bit off more than I could chew, and I should have known that going in. And while that is a learning experience and that's great, it also leaves other people hanging. And I really wish I hadn't left other people hanging. And I'm glad I was able to learn from it, but that sucked.
There's an incredible through line for both of you on all of your comments, both on the first show and on this one now. That consideration for the end consumer is really high with both of you.
Oh yeah, we do care.
Without the end consumer, we don't have a job.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but you know, neither does Q-tips, but I don't think they care. Like you know,
Probably not. I'm also not a multi-million billion corporation, you know, like
yeah.
you know, it makes a difference when you know that people are gonna last with the product and that they're gonna need this product later on, because if one person goes missing, you do feel that 1 month.
Yeah.
And you know, Q-tip buyers, maybe they do lose a buyer here and there, but they probably don't see it in their bucket.
Yeah.
We do.
Oh, absolutely.
Cool.
It's important to
All right.
deliver.
So
Make
this
people
question's
happy.
from Ken Meyer Jr. Ken Meyer Jr. says, if any, what significant ways has your art, the both of you, changed since you became a couple?
Everywhere.
Everywhere. That's a great question.
When I saw the questions, that was one of my favorites.
Thank you, Ken.
For my own self, I find myself, I have access now to someone who can speak the same language. So, you know, it's who understands the artistic components happening. And if I don't understand a color, I'm going to go to someone who does, and she does.
Same for values here. Like when I got with him, you know, we're both very different kind of artists. He's mostly, you know, graphite artist, black and white, and then he also does the digital work. Two things I don't really do at all. You know, I paint very flashy colors and, you know, people. He draws fucking dragons and skeletons.
And
what the
penguins.
fuck? And penguins. and so he, you know,
And
sometimes
penguins.
and penguins. Sometimes and I paint chicks with big tits. He doesn't. They're skeletons. But yeah, so sometimes I struggle with the painting and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? He goes, have you tried your values? You know, take a picture, turn it in black and white, you know, grayscale, and then right away I see like it pops like, oh shit, this needs more light, this needs more shadow. He helps me with like, he will grab my fucking painting and he will hold it.
I'll walk 10 feet away.
Yeah. And then I'm like, I miss you. Nobody's come back. But then I'm like, oh, that is so true. You know, this is how people will see it on the wall, and things like that helps, like not to over detail a part. Now that helps me a lot with that. I think I'm a much better artist now.
When you're a self-taught artist, there's a certain point where you start to realize your teacher was an idiot, and you have to start filling in gaps. And even 20 years down the line, you're going to find there's little gaps still existing.
Yeah, we're both self-taught artists.
So we help each other balance that out and find those tiny little things. My compositions are better.
Yeah.
I use color differently now.
Yeah.
She's now looking at, values differently, stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, so this is a hot button topic for me, and I'm going to need to talk about it at some point. This is your lightning round, but we need to talk about training over time versus training for mastery, right? Like when you take a class, like an art class on anatomy, you've got those 6 or 8 weeks to absorb the subject matter, and you can get a passing grade on it, but if you're not at 100%, you're going into the next class that builds on a foundation of anatomy with less than all of the knowledge there is to have. And so you're constantly building this thing on like shifting sand. Huge hot button topic for me. We're going to talk about that some more. I'm going to give you the next question. Hold on. All right. So Nick Lester says, question for both of you. What is the thing that at first you thought was annoying or something to that effect that you ended up loving about the other?
To me, it's before we ever met. I was, he was a friend online, an artist. Again, I've known him because I asked him to be in the 78 Tarot project, just like you, Frank. But yeah, I would glance at, his Facebook sometimes, and he seemed like a very depressed fucker. A lot of his posts were about depression. And usually I don't tend to surround myself with overly, like kind of gloomy people like that. But that's when I started communicating with him, in private, that this was never a cry for attention or whatever. No, he was trying to help other people, you know, by sharing his own experience. So what I thought was like a almost like a red flag became like my favorite thing about him is like he's so fucking vulnerable and like there's no taboo with him. You know, he's out there and he will talk about absolutely everything to men, you know, and women also, but like lots of men, let's just say they won't talk about, you know, for them it's a weakness and, you know, we need to be men and all that. And there he was.
Kind of, to me, it goes back to, actually, Frank, you've had the topic for a long time of masculinity versus manliness.
Absolutely.
You know, I know that's a recurring theme for you, and it's been a recurring theme for me in my life, has been, you know, are you less of a man for letting out your feelings, or are you just a dude who's just trying to get by? And, you know, for me, it's not a gender component. We need to put the stigmas away. I need to just process my damn feelings, and maybe someone else can be helped by that along the way. And it comes off wrong sometimes online, but, you know, to the right person, it won't.
So. Exactly. You know,
that is 100% in the eye of the beholder. Because as men, we're taught that it's a virtue to be courageous, right? We're supposed to be brave. And yet, so many of us shy away from being emotionally vulnerable because it puts us at risk of being seen a certain way, right? Well, there is no courage without risk. So very often the most courageous thing you can do is be emotionally vulnerable.
Right? Exactly.
So bravo to you, you scrawny motherfucker. Here we go. Hang on. Next question.
That's how he got me. That's how you fish for them French bitches.
All right, Amber Perry Sampson. I don't think there's going to be one simple answer to this one, but Amber Perry Sampson asked, on average, how long does it take to complete a piece of art?
Too long.
It takes as long as it takes for us to be satisfied with it. It can be, it depends what the fuck that is, the size, the complexion of it, the amount of details. It's impossible to answer, but I would say long enough to
I've found that for us, if you give us 3 to 4 solid sittings on a picture, we can be good, but the length of a sitting can differ.
Absolutely.
So, you know, it's kind of in the span of a week, we can knock out our pretty solid picture, but the hours will still be different.
Yeah.
So I did this painting recently that I was really happy with, and it didn't take me long at all. In terms of the amount of hours that I put into it. Like I did it in like a sitting, I did it in technically 2 sittings. And total combined was maybe 3.5 hours. I really enjoyed the piece. I liked the way that it came out. And somebody asks, wow, how long did that take you? And I'm like, 52 years. It took me 52 years, right? It took me 52 years to get the skills to do that in 3 hours, right? Like,
we're all at different points in the journey. So 3 hours to me is different than 3 hours to you. And with her and all that, and some of my favorite pictures took me 3 hours compared to the 8-hour pictures I did for a client. And it's just, it's about the picture and just needing different things.
It's not about the amount of time. It's about the amount of quality we put into it. Or sometimes it's just about reminding, do you feel like shit this day? Or do you know, is something going on in your life? Or are you like, let's train this?
Exactly. Yeah, it's not a constant metric, right? I mean, like if you're in a flow state and like you sit down and like, oh man, yeah, I'm on now, right? And like, boom, I mean, everything just is juicy and it like happens really nice and easy. And then there's some days where you just feel like your pockets are full of rocks and you just can't do a damn thing, right? I don't know where either of those analogies come from. I don't know where the juicy thing came from. Let's just move on and not make it weird.
Sure.
Okay, so Megan Lynn has some great questions here, but we're not gonna address them now. I'm gonna put them into the video, and then what I'd like you to do after this is posted, I'd like you to actually post a picture of the art that she's asking for. So the question number 1 was, what was your most favorite piece of art you've ever created? What was your most favorite piece of art that your partner has created? And then what was your favorite? And then your favorite piece of art from any artist other than yourselves, living or dead.
Interesting. Gonna have to.
So there's no way to answer those now, but I think that they're great questions, and I'd love to see your answers in the comments when this gets posted.
We will provide.
It shall be so.
It shall be done. So, in accordance with the prophecies. So, Megan Lynn, fantastic to talk to recently. She's a new friend of mine, but she's gone through a lot with stress and anxiety, and how she has overcome that on her own without any of the training or tools that you and I think now have become ingrained in us, right? Like, I mean, she literally taught herself. It's amazing to hear her journey, and we'll have her on the show at some point.
Oh, that would be
Next,
great.
That would be great to have.
yeah,
And she's a patron too.
she is a patron. She's amazing.
And she's also a 7-year tarot artist and a Canadian. So that's good.
There's a theme.
Okay, so Ricky
What I'm doing.
Ricky Giju, how do you pronounce this? Go?
Ricky
I don't know.
Guy Gigu.
We call him Ricky.
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 Oh, Ricky,
I'm
we
gonna-
know who we're talking about.
Okay, so Ricky, I'm just going to ask his first question. Does
It's
a
gonna
lot of
be
thought go into does a lot of thought go into what colors to use, or does it come out of the blue?
Can you repeat that for my Frenchness?
I don't think so. No.
Thank you.
So does a lot of thought go into what colors you use?
Do you plan out your colors?
Well,
How much thought goes into your color use?
in the color use, I mean, if I have to draw a Smurf, I'll go with blue. But it's a weird question to answer. How much thought? I mean, it's just so automatic for me. The colors, like it's something I've done all my life, 20 years of it
If
now.
I may speak from my own perspective of watching you work, is
Yeah.
that you tend to work one part at a time, and then you'll balance your colors afterward,
Yeah.
kind of as you work. So as a section is completed, then she'll say, well, this would complement it.
I do
So-
try to visualize what I'm gonna do first. Again, it depends if it's a portrait that is from a pictures that somebody sent me. Then I
Yeah.
I kinda
So
have
now,
to-
do you have an innate sense of color theory, or have you studied color theory?
I've never studied shit in my life, babe. Nothing. Nothing. It's
Okay.
just practice.
Because like you guys did a collaboration once where Chris drew a skeleton, as is his
I
wont,
have two of them now.
and then you came in with what looked like somebody took all of the neon from the Blade Runner film and cracked them open and turned them into glass, put them into a spray can, shook them up, and then you like freebase them, and then just went to work with that shit in your brain. Like, I don't know how,
Those are never planned ahead. Like we draw something that I'm like, whoa, I really fucking want to color that shit, and I have nothing in mind, but I just know it's gonna be
My favorite
flashy.
my favorite part is sometimes she'll have a slight concept of, I want to have this element, this color.
Yeah.
And we'll figure the rest out from there. But she'll brainstorm this color that I just can't imagine.
Mhm.
Like, I want the skeleton to be yellow or green. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
And-
And, I trust her because she's better color in my mind than I am.
I like to mix his style is so dark and so doomish, dark. Yes.
I'm from Washington.
And like I said earlier, I'm a different Rainbow Brown, having sex with Megatron, and I love colors, like flashy things. So I'm like, why not put a neon pink background to that very doomish skeleton? And that's what I do, and it's fun. I want to do
It's
more.
fascinating.
We're gonna do more. Yeah.
okay, I'm cherry picking now because we're coming to the end here. All right, I'm going to ask this because somebody asked. Lynette Frost wants to know, how many rubber chickens do you own?
13.
Really? 13?
We have 13.
We
Yeah.
all love them. We have adopted each of them.
Are they
and,
named?
They are our children.
Yes, I don't breastfeed them, but
Much.
almost. They're beautiful.
Okay. Let's say, well, Jody James Horn says, are you insane?
Absolutely.
A bit.
I mean, there's all- yeah.
Okay, so Philip Buddy de Bliec,
Buddy!
We love you.
Buddy,
Buddy.
to date, looking back on your life or lives as a whole, what are you most proud of?
My kids. And my tits. But my my kids,
Still being alive.
yeah, to have
All
made
right.
it that far, yeah.
To be a depressive person and still make it this far, there are days I look back and wonder how I did that. It's an accomplishment to me.
Yeah, I'm proud of my kids. Really, I mean, I wouldn't be the same person without them. And yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Next. No. Okay. So I think this one, you know what? Yeah, this one I think is for Chris. When will the penguins finally rise up and assert their domination of the human race? I can only assume this is a conversation about Penguin Lost.
Well, I can't give away a firm date on the revolution itself because it would kind of, you don't want to tip them off.
Yeah.
You don't want people to see that coming.
Yeah.
No.
No, Penguin Lost has no date, and the Penguin Revolution is certainly too secretive to let out like.
I think that's a fair answer.
Yeah, he's the insane one.
Okay. Let's see. See what else have we got here. Okay, last question. Lori McDade asked, how has it been for you guys having your relationship be so public?
Oh, I mean, it was mostly.
I don't think of it.
Yeah, I'm clearly the loudest one from of both. So I don't know. To me, it was important to just show people that this can, if you believe in it, this can happen. And
you know how we mentioned before how I would voice my depressive stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be real about things, and it's part of the reason why we wanted to urge you to do your realistic show with artists about showing up and being you and the good and the bad, and the ugly. And this is our side of it too, which is we've had bad days, but we're having some good ones too.
Yeah, it's important for us to share our journey with everybody, and if we can help in any way, to
we try.
Yeah.
I'm more of a private person than she is. But the reality is that it's still important for us to be who we are. If she needs to share, I will never hold her back on that because that's what she needs to have in her life.
Yeah, it's such a great joy, and it's something that I can finally, live, that I want to share it. Not brag about it, but share it and show people that it's possible to have a fantastic, relationship with somebody and be happy.
A lot of people know how low we got.
Yeah.
And they need to see that you can rally from it.
A lot of people knew us separately before, and then they're like, why? You're one of the first person I came to say that, me and Chris.
I remember it well.
And it was so out of fucking nowhere, like, oh.
A lot of people were very, very surprised.
Yeah, and since we had like a lot of people following us anyway individually, we shared with so many people, and I have no regret with that. It's been great, and these people still follow us, and we've made lots of friends, and lots of people have told us, that we've helped them in many, many ways, to do things about their own relationship and things that had ended up making their own relationship better.
Which means the world to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I got to tell you, on a personal note, I had been talking to Chris at the time a lot about an ongoing relationship that I was having with another 78 tarot artist. And what was really funny is because Chris and I were talking pretty frequently about this. This was up in my world a lot, and it was something that I couldn't share with a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And so he was a really great friend to me. And not once did he mention any of this. And then all of a sudden you slide into my DMs with like a voice message. Frank, motherfucker, I have to tell you, Chris and I are in love. And I'm like, Chris, and I'm like, what? I like, for like 3 minutes, you just went on about how happy you were and how he's just the best guy ever and how lucky you are and how much you love him. And like, it was basically those 3 points over and over again for 3 minutes. Like it was pretty phenomenal. And like, I had just been talking to Chris like 30 seconds earlier, and I'm like, that's funny, he didn't mention this.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm loud.
It wasn't the topic at the time.
I was like, Chris,
I'm loud as fuck.
And he's like, thanks, man. Yeah, cool. Right? Like
You
he's
know,
just,
I'm happy, you know.
he's a
There are
super
times
chill
where my
dude.
internal workings, I just let them be, you know, and I'd rather hear about someone who's having a hard time than put my stuff on top of it. And at the time, you weren't really at your, you know, best. You weren't functioning
Yeah.
well in some ways. You were having a hard time. I just wanted to listen, you know?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you know, I figured, you know, people will hear about this when they hear about it. I'm more interested in how my friends are doing.
Yeah, well, he was
But,
not
you know,
talking, you know, to me about
I,
that.
I,
Just
I think that
yeah.
I think that the really important takeaway on this thing, for me anyway, because there's a lot of people who spend a lot of time blaming life for what happened to them, you know,
Mhm.
and you know this happened to, you know, it's the Bruce Wayne thing, right? It's like I'm Batman because my parents were murdered in front of me as a child, right? They get trapped in their story, right?
Yeah.
When really my point of view about most things is that choice trumps everything. And the beautiful part of your story is that you chose each other and then you made it happen. And for that, I will always be eternally grateful.
So, well, thank you.
Thank you both. All right. That wraps up the lightning round with Chris and Delphine. If you guys want more of this, make sure you subscribe to our Patreon, like the page on Facebook, like their pages, like my page, do the thing, throw money at us, whatever. Make it happen, people. Let's keep the show around. Let's keep talking.
Yeah. Let's keep the fun going, you know. It's great to have that kind of outlet with the, you know, current quarantine and lockdown all over the world because of that virus thing going on. You know, lots of artists, they don't have access to these conventions and shows anymore. So like, who are they gonna talk to and how are they gonna get their shit seen, you know? So
Right.
it's
You know,
positive.
it's really my hope that out of this, people create a personal connection to you guys, and that invites them into your art, you know, on a deeper level. So thank you so much for showing up for this, for showing
Well,
the
thank
fuck
you.
up, and you guys be good to yourselves, be excellent to each other. We'll see you next time.